Boozy Beats Bang.
The beginning.
The beginning.
The very first.
In 3, 2, 1. I have no idea why I did that, but
That's to sync the audio. Cheers.
Cheers, Ann.
Cheers.
Welcome everybody to
Welcome.
the first ever Boozy Beats Bang podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You got your boy Trent here, T Preezy. You can find me on Instagram at Trent Priest Drums. We're not going to worry about the Facebook. We'll just stick to the Instagram for now. And we got Mike Longhelt.
My Instagram is at Mike Longhelt. I need to do more music, but we'll get back to that.
Well, still get into tell them about what's going on with Morebrite.
Yeah, I own a digital marketing company. We do web design, search engine optimization, anything to help local businesses to grow and expand. We're really looking for mid-sized companies or just, any guys just getting on their feet.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, we have people in the know. It's not all about just the music, but some other things that you guys could possibly know.
It can't be.
So, this is the first ever. So there's going to be a lot of weird things that are going to probably happen. I'm probably going to look like a fool sometimes, but hey, that's what this is all about. But this is a long time coming. I think we started talking about this in summertime.
Yeah, almost a year ago, really.
Just having conversations and talking about life and friendships and how it seems now we're in this culture where we really don't know everything, I guess you can say, or everything you need to know about a friend. It's more or less things can be kind of surfacey.
Mm-hmm.
Not always a bad thing. Sometimes that, it is good to kind of be like that. But then in some ways, you're having conversations and next thing you know, you're like, oh man, I didn't even know that.
Right.
So, and of course, I have my 3 favorite things, but we'll talk about that later. So what are you drinking on over here?
Well, it's just water. My normal drink of just water.
Lost a headphone.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
We'll keep
that's
going.
how you start.
So no alcohol, no vodka.
Yeah, it's about a third vodka and then 2/3 soda water.
Okay.
Raspberry bubbly.
Raspberry bubbly.
It's very nice.
I am doing a vodka with some lime and a little splash of Midori because
Okay.
this is right around. I want to say right around St. Patrick's Day that this is being
It
recorded.
is St. Patrick's Day.
Well, it is St. Patrick's Day.
2023.
So I got to put a little splash of something green in there.
Mhm.
So
All right. Cheers again.
cheers again.
This is my first. Do you talk to the camera? Do you not talk? Do you talk to the person? What do you do?
I feel like it's kind of a little bit of both. Or you're going to kind of be in this thing where you're like, do I stare and look and you
Do I
people
wipe
can
the
look
sweat
into my
off
soul?
of me from setting
Or-
everything up?
Or do you have that normal conversation that,
Like
you
a
know,
Rogan
I think-
has. That's just they're just talking and there's a
Yeah.
microphone.
all these people, they have different things where it's just like they just sit there and they hold a conversation, they talk,
Yeah.
bullshit, whatever. Sometimes they look, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're looking at the person that you're talking to, which
Right.
is fine. We'll
Right.
do whatever we want to do
Yeah.
because, well, this is kind of
We're
our
doing it for
show.
free. So yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're not getting paid. There's no sponsors here.
Right.
You're not seeing like big banners for blah 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 blah. So
I mean, if you're gonna hang out and drink with your friends, you might as well record it.
exactly.
If no one's gonna even if no one ever listens, you would have that memory for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And
it's kind of
remembering
like
their story and stuff.
that's our picture, I guess you can say. We're taking that Instagram picture,
Right. Yeah.
but we're making it long form and we're talking about it. So
Right.
so let's start early. Let's
Okay.
just kind of see where we are, but kind of learn something new. Like let's talk early life, man.
Early
How-
life. Okay.
What was it like growing up as Mike Longhelt?
Well, I mean, we had a good super Christian family that, I don't think I'd be the person I am now if it wasn't for that upbringing. Parents that love me and grandparents that love me, aunts and uncles. So that was great. But I was the runt of the litter. So, I could catch a football and stuff, but I never was going to be the, starting football player or anything like that. I was homeschooled.
So you were like me. You were the baby of the family.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly.
We're the babies. See, the older kids get away with whatever, they get to do whatever, and the next thing you know, we come along and it's just like, no, you're not going to do that
Oh, I
because
mean, I'm
so and
still
so
the
did that.
golden child. There's no question about that. I mean, I'm still the golden child. So, I have no regrets in that regard. It's just, like if you ask a question like that, I mean, I had a great upbringing,
Yeah,
there's no, I can't have any qualms about that. But what it's like to kind of grow up, like, I mean, I guess every kid does grow up insecure and like they don't know what they're good at, what's their value in life, like what are they going to be, and sports was not going to be my thing because I was not going to ever be fast enough or strong enough or whatever. But like,
yeah.
my dad, he was.
Hmm.
Right. So he grew up, he went to college for football and like he wasn't maybe going to go to the NFL. And maybe he could have if he would have applied himself more.
Wait, so your dad played college football?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I never
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I knew he was like he's very well built. Like you can tell, like he
Oh, yeah.
works out and stuff like that. But it's like football never crossed my mind that he actually played football
Yeah.
before.
I mean, that's kind of why he wanted me to do it, I think. But he played in high school and he was like really good in high school. And then when he went to college, he was pretty good. But it gets a lot more difficult when you get to college. Like you
Yeah,
realize, do I really want to do this? It's a lot more tough. I mean, that was back in the '60s and stuff too. So,
yeah.
but he was pretty good. Just I guess not good enough. They want you to be a certain height to get into the NFL and stuff like that. So but that's kind of how he messed up his back too.
Oh,
Yeah. So.
well, we'll have to talk about that
Yeah.
at some point and just see.
Have
Well,
him on. Let him
well, I
tell a
told you,
story. He's
like,
got tons of stories.
oh yeah, like we talked about it once before, where I was just like, like when I was bringing up, I talked to you and I sent you a text and I was saying, what do you think about having your mom on here? And the
Yeah.
reason why I wanted that is because I think and I feel like there's such a different perspective of a parent raising a child that's a musician
Yeah.
and being around her and seeing how supportive she is of you and your brother Mark
Mm-hmm.
and just how well she's there, like the videos that she was putting out, things like that. It's like there's something about that that's really cool that some kids don't always get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's a negative thing. Um, Me and my story is a little different than that, but like I said, it wasn't negative and it wasn't bad, and I have nothing against my parents for that. But it's just was always really cool to see these things where it's just like, wow, these people are like super supportive of what their sons are doing, and
Yeah.
they're not getting into what they're saying or anything like that. They're just being there supporting their kids, and I
Right.
thought that was really awesome. That's why I was like, people need to kind of get that different perspective of just not the musician and what you see on stage,
Right.
but what's going on behind the scenes and the people that are behind the scenes and the people that are being really supportive and being there for
Right.
them and kind of helping them, chase their dream and follow their dream.
Right.
So, I mean, that would always be a cool thing. But yeah, definitely would like to talk to your dad about that because
He's got
college football.
tons of college stories, dude. Dude, tons of college stories. They had this one where they had to do an olive race. It was like a fraternity thing, and they had to like run back. I won't totally spoil, but you have to like hold an olive in a certain body part and then take it back to the other seat, and then it's a race to get back and forth. He's got all the dirty details, but
Yeah, we definitely.
he had the full like Animal House experience.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to have him on there.
And
have a
then he
conversation about
became
that.
like a Christian after that, so it was like like two totally different worlds. But he had that like crazy college experience.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, me and we've had our talks and we had a lot of different conversations about our upbringing, and I filled you in on a lot of stuff that was going on with me and
Mhm.
what had happened in my life. And um, I'm not going to go way too deep, but I think if certain people hear certain things, maybe it will help them understand the reasonings why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was born in Colorado Springs. Most
Mhm.
people, I haven't really talked much about that, but I was actually born in Colorado Springs, um, September 8th, 1971. I am that old. Yes. Um, and less than year, 2 years later, and I have paperwork and stuff, and I'll show you later, but less than 2 years later, my mother was in the processes of getting ready for work or whatever. I couldn't really get into it, but um, I was dropped off at a babysitter, and my mother walked out the door, and she was shot and killed outside of the door. Right after dropping me off, she was able to get back into the house and actually died. Um, she actually died on the way to the hospital. So, um, like I said, I've talked to you and I've talked to your mom about it, and my wife knows, and of course my brother knows. A lot of people don't know that, and it's not something that I openly talk about. I openly discuss, and it's not for anything other than the fact of at my age of being 52 this year, if I'm right. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, I'll be 52 this year. At being 52 years old, you kind of just accept the way things have been, and you don't feel like you need to share all those little details because people don't understand. But the reason why I'm saying that, and there's more to it, and there's more that's happened, and there's other things that have happened. The reason why I'm explaining that is because my wife always constantly get these questions of why is Trent so quiet? Why is he just kind of
Yeah.
sit there? And I think even a lot of people would always like think something was wrong or I was mad or something like that. And I think the honesty of it is it's just I sometimes feel misplaced
Okay.
because when you're around people that are big family people, like I've been around you and your family, your mom and dad. I call them mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
I have never called them Mrs. Longhelt or Mr. Longhelt. It's always been mom, dad, or mom and pops. And there's a bunch of other people that I feel like that I'm the same way with as well. And it's a respect thing, but it's also just kind of overwhelming because for you guys seeing mom and dad and grandpa and aunt, uncle,
Right.
cousin, stuff like that, it's for many years, it's just been me and my brother. Every once in a while, we'd see like my dad's side of the family, his sister, my aunt, she would come, and my cousins on that side. A lot of my Colorado family I didn't see much of. My father's side, I haven't seen them since June of 1984. It's the last time I saw my dad. And, I've never really met any of his side of the family. So I get a little overwhelmed in big situations. And it's weird being a drummer. It's weird doing and playing the way that I play. You would think this guy has no issues being like that. And it's like, no, that's a totally different story. And that's a totally different
Well, that's
world.
not a social situation either, right?
It's just, that's just me sitting there playing drums. When you're on stage and we're on stage, it's just us and we see everything, but we're not in that direct line of fire.
Right. We're not going to have a conversation.
No.
We're able to just perform, and that's the duty that needs to be done at that point.
Yeah.
Pull your mic up a little more.
No.
It cuts out a little bit. I'm hearing it like just
every once in a while.
Yeah. I think that's why Rogan always says to put it like just
I don't want to also be weird to where it's like
it's not
like I have like this sex voice.
But it's easier for editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone really knows that. I think I'm honored to be one of the few people that knows that about you. But that I think it is. If people know who you are, it will help them respond to you better, or I don't know. I mean, like it's a thing. Like
what the whole thing is. It's just like
I love people the more than I know them.
Yeah.
Unless they're pieces of shit and they keep being terrible.
And that's the thing. It's like there's a difference between like having friends or having people that do something a specific way, and you have two choices. And I think a lot of people nowadays make the second choice, which is just like, oh, they're just a dick. They're an asshole.
Right.
Why are they acting like that? Oh, they're just blah, 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 whatever. But if you actually take the time and it's like, if you know their backstory, you know what they've been through in their life, and you understand where they've been and what's gotten them to that point, there's a little bit of me that's just like understanding, because it's just like, okay, well, now that I know that, now that makes sense. There's still a point where you're going to be like, you're still just a dick.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you don't change anything,
if you're not changing anything, it's just like that's where it makes sense, and that's where it becomes weird, where you're just like,
but only by if you know them, that gives you the opportunity to give them that extra grace that you wouldn't normally, because you could understand the trauma that they've been through that could lead them to be acting like the asshole or whatever, or to
Yeah.
be acting in whatever strange way that they're acting, or just to be acting normal. I mean, for the stuff that you've been through, it's amazing that you're not more dramatic and that you went the different route,
Yeah.
of being more calm.
I think you just kind of realize that this is life. And like I said, I've had a great familyhood. My brother, like I said, all of that is beyond the point that I have a mother and a father that loved me very dearly, that took care of me and my brother. There was no thought, question. I never felt any different. I always felt like this was family, and they are family to a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like in a normal family, this was my birth mother's aunt. So we're still all blood on
Mm-hmm.
that side. So it's not like I went to a strange family. I went to somebody within our family. It's just not my birth mother, my birth
Right.
father, blah, 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 blah. And like I said, there's things I don't know. I see pictures of her and I just kind of look like, oh, so that's what my mother looked like.
Yeah.
And then the fact of my last name would,
Crazy.
honestly, if that would have never happened, then my last name would actually be Thompson instead of Priest.
So you took your adopted parents' name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went through the whole adoption period process, everything, where my birth certificate and everything
So
says.
it was your grandparents that adopted you, right?
This was, like I said, my birth mother's aunt, according
Okay.
to the obituary and everything that I read.
Okay, right.
So this was her aunt. The mother that actually raised me was married to somebody else. So like when you look at the obituary and the paperwork that I have, it says Ruth Blake. But that was her previous husband that had died. She ended up marrying my father, Sylvester, Priest. So once we moved here and everything, we changed our name to Priest. So the Thompson thing never really came out, never was known. Nobody knew us as Thompson. We were always just kind of known as the Priest. So, on my brother's side, it was more of the Priest Boys. So,
Oh, is that your next mixtape?
yeah, it is. But that was more because my brother went the sports route. So,
Okay, yeah.
and that was even like our family dynamic, like you were saying, how sports were really big in your family, and your dad really kind of wanted you. My brother,
Well, I mean, look, if I would have been the size of that my dad, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm 5'8", and in high school I was $130 soaking wet.
Yeah.
Like it's not big enough to, there's no hopes for that type of like thing. And actually that's the kind of when I figured out I could sing a little bit, I was like, oh, I'm not doing sports ever again. I'm not doing it because I could do something that was I was extremely better at it. Still not as good as I would ever want to be necessarily, but it was like a path that I could take that was like not embarrassing and didn't cause concussions.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had the first couple concussions I had. Well, the first one was from Mark, but we'll go into that later.
Oh, boy.
The other ones, I don't even remember until recently, like, oh, I was knocked out twice on the football field because I was playing against guys that were seniors and I'm 130 pounds and they're 230, and I'm just getting destroyed. So like it was a good thing for me for discipline and to have to get up, and do 2-a-days and stuff like that and have to like get socialized with, because I was going to a private school and then, homeschooled for 2 years, so it was like a good thing for me socially, sort of, and a challenge a lot. But it wasn't the challenge that I'm glad I did. I got no regrets, but like maybe I should have played tennis.
Well, no, I mean, like,
or they don't have men's volleyball there.
well,
but
even like my brother was big. He played soccer when he was growing up.
Mhm.
He did baseball. He did basketball was his really big thing. Neither one of us ever played football or anything like that. I went the t-ball route, played t-ball. I wrestled for a year, and I did basketball for 2 years. And originally that was the plan. That was my whole thought was, okay, I'm going to go play basketball.
Oh yeah.
High school is going to be fun. My brother already kind of had let them know, and their coaches had already known that I'd been playing in county league in 7th and 8th grade. So freshman year, like first day I walk into school, I walk past the basketball coach and he's just like, so am I going to see you this fall or this winter? And I'm like, no, sir. He's like, why not? I was like, I'm in the band. He's like, so you're not going to play basketball? And
So when did you discover drumming, and why did that take the place of basketball?
well, what happened with drumming was more of me and a good friend of mine, this guy named Albert, was actually my neighbor across the street. We were sitting in my kitchen at my house, and we were sitting there talking and everything, and we were talking about me being coming in as a freshman. He was already freshman, so he was going to be a sophomore. I'd be a freshman. And he's already just like, so what are you doing? What are you thinking? I was like, oh, I said, I'm going to play football. I'm going to play basketball. And my mom happened to be in the kitchen, and she turned around and she's like, no, you're not. And I just kind of looked like, what do you mean? No, I'm not. She's like, you're not playing basketball.
Can't play basketball?
And I'm like,
It's not
but
football.
I've just played for 2 years. I just did county league, so she's like, no, you're not playing for those coaches. I don't like the way they treated your brother. And I just kind of looked like.
So you never played basketball for that reason, and
when
then,
I got
and
into
then
high
started
school,
drumming.
my last time playing basketball was 8th grade county league, and never played basketball again, other than just for fun.
Yeah.
No high school, never played any organized sports in high school.
Do you wish you would have?
No, because like I said, he just looked at me and he was just like, well, why don't you join the band? And I'm like,
here's the thing. No one that played high school basketball is still doing it in front of a lot of people. So by choosing a band, you could still, you know, into your later years, still be doing it for fun and maybe for money and stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, that was the weird, is like, it was more or less just like, okay, what am I going to do? But as soon as he said band, and I instantaneously thought back to when I was in band in like elementary and a little bit of 7th grade, and I played saxophone. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to play that. I hate that instrument.
Oh my God.
And it's like,
we need to get you a saxophone.
Dude, no, I couldn't even tell you.
Saxophone.
I couldn't remember a thing about it. Notes, how you play it, how to hold it, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, man.
And the wood,
that would have been a very different
thing.
Dreaming of Eden.
If
you were the saxophone player,
oh, yeah.
That would have been a very different.
No. So, but he was in the drum line, and he was just like, why don't you get into, you can be in the drum line with me. And I'm like, dude, I don't know how to play drums. He's like, it's easy. I can teach you. And I was like, you're not going to be able to teach me enough to where I can play. It's not going to happen. He's like, dude, I can teach you. Like, I'll show you everything. I'll show you what we know. And he's like, and so that's what we did. I literally would go over to his house, and he would sit there and he would show me like different things, and he would explain. He's like, okay, you've never played. Most likely you're going to play on the cymbal line. He's like, this is what you need to do. He's just like, if you can clap and walk.
Oh, see, he was starting you very basic.
Very basic.
Very basic.
So,
because like,
yeah, like,
he didn't know if you could become what you've become.
No, I don't think anybody did. I don't even know if I really did. I think it was just something that.
Well, cymbals are boring. Once you start to understand rhythm, like you want to play,
you feel like the monkey.
At least the drum.
Yeah.
At least the bass drum you want to be playing. You don't want
definitely. And I felt like the monkey, where you're just sitting there walking around and you're doing this, and it's just like, okay. So we have the first drumline rehearsal and everything, and he's like this drum instructor, and gets out there and he tells us, you're going to do this, and we would do a lot of like marching blocks where it's. You start at a yard line, say the 10-yard line, and they'll have you mark, and you're supposed to be able to reach 10 yards in a certain amount of paces, I guess. And so he would just have us playing straight quarter notes, just 1, 2, 3, 4, while you're marching. So, of course, I'm like, all right, whatever. Did it. And we did that, and we did it, and we did it, and we went through a bunch of other little things and everything else. And not long afterwards, I guess he just kind of picked up on the whole drumline as a whole, and just felt like certain people didn't belong in certain places. And next thing you know, he starts switching around, and he's just like, Trent, you're going to be on the number 4 bass drum.
Okay.
I'm like,
well, upgrade.
Yeah, way upgrade. But now I'm scared, because now I'm like, okay, now I've got to be able to.
I played terrible special teams. That would be like me getting upgraded to defensive back or something.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's out of my, like I said, it was kind of out of my realm. I didn't know anything about it, but I'm like, okay. Once again, though, but my friend sat there, Albert just sat there and would work with me and showed me, and he was really good friends with the section leader, so they would come over together, and of course, I had this huge support group of people showing me and
did you practice a lot? Did you practice with people a lot, or did you practice
Mostly with
alone?
them. Like they would, because like my friend Albert actually played bass drum, so he kind of understood how it worked. And there was a lot of things where it's split between. There's 5 bass drums typically,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is kind of split. Everybody has a specific note.
Right.
So if you're like eighth notes, if you understand an eighth note,
Yeah.
if you're playing an eighth notes, it'd be like 1 and 2 and 3, which would be your 5, and then it would just kind of go back up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going up and down, up and down, and up and down. So you kind of had to know where to place your note.
Right.
So, he would just sit there and show me, like, okay, if you're playing this bass drum, this is where you need to play. And they would just kind of explain it. And then, okay, and this is what you do if you're playing 16th notes, and this is what you do if you're playing this. And so they would just sit there and show me. And so I learned and learned and learned and got through my first year as a bass drummer.
All right.
Which, and once you get into drumming and music as a whole, it's a very overcoming thing. Like it takes over.
Well, I mean, my experience is very different. Just I got into it. I had like some weird vision that I think happened somewhere, and when I was in Wales on like a mission trip, and I felt like God told me to start playing guitar. And then I met Branch, like Brandon Wright, shout out, like
Defending Kane. There we go.
yeah, defending Kane, like maybe 2 months later, and he played guitar, and he gave me a guitar to play, and then we would jam sometimes, but I mostly played by myself a lot. I mean, we would jam enough and write stuff, but I really spent a lot of time practicing by myself. And I mean, he kind of showed me as much as I guess your friend did. There's no YouTube, right?
Yeah.
At the time, like
No,
you could learn so much right now if you know just go on YouTube or anywhere. Like there's no excuse to not be able to play. But the fun part of that happening organically for both of us, like you had someone that believed in you,
Yeah.
and was willing to spend the time to do that. Like I'm very thankful to Brandon for that. For him doing that for me.
That's definitely, like I said, that's the cool thing about it is when somebody is there and it's not holding your hand. It's not like, okay, come on, let's do this. Like, but they're showing you and putting the time in because they believe that you have something.
Right.
So, that was a really cool experience.
Mhm.
And like you, it was, I'd always seen drummers, but it was never something that I thought about. But
Right.
my way of seeing drummers at that age was more or less church and
Right.
church
Yeah.
drummers. And it wasn't what it is now. But it was still very rhythmic and it was cool to watch. But
Right.
also back then I was more geared towards watching bass players because I knew a couple people that were bass players. So I was
Okay.
more interested in that. But brother got
Yeah,
my
I
bass
mean-
stolen, lost it, blah blah blah. Never played bass.
I mean, no one in my family did music at all. Like on my dad's dad sang in choir,
Mhm.
and my dad sang at church, and that's it. There were no instruments in my house. I didn't know anyone. I didn't go to school with. I mean, there's one girl that I picked on because she played piano. Like it was just not around. So I never really thought of music as like something. Well, I never understood the value of creating and the value of expression. Like I just didn't know. Um and then as I started singing, like I wasn't very good. Like my pitch was off, but I loved doing it, right? Because I was realizing the value of the expression of it. And then like when I felt like God told me I should start playing guitar, that sounded like such a difficult task.
Yeah.
Because I never read music. I don't. It's telling me to jump off a cliff because like I don't know if I can do this at all. Like
Exactly.
and it worked out where I've learned a lot. I mean, I'm not as good as I want to be, but I wouldn't be here right now if
No.
I hadn't jumped off that cliff and taken that like belief.
I mean, and that's the thing about it. It's like I don't think either one of us would be sitting here having this conversation thinking about it because it's not something that I guess when we were younger, that's what we were originally thinking we were going to do. And even when we first started, like I said, when I go back to that time period, it's just like I never would think that the things that have happened musically since then would have ever happened because that, like I said, I didn't know anything about the instrument. But
Right.
it's cool when you kind of go through all of that and the instrument kind of takes over you and you just kind of start learning and you really dive into all the aspects of it
Yeah.
and music in general. Um, What was, for you, what was your first big musical moment?
Oh man. I mean, I it's kind of hard to say because there's different like playing a first show, even if it's just like at a coffee house,
Mhm.
right? Like that for me was I'd never performed. I'd never been on stage ever,
Yeah.
right? Actually, Brandon Brandon and Matt Kitchen, they had a band called Red Seven. It was like a rap rock Christian band, sort of Rage Against the Machine wannabe sort of stuff. And they were pretty talented, and they let me like scream on a song, and that was my first time like ever being, But then when I was writing my own stuff, when Branch and I were writing our own stuff together, we had a show and there was like 75 people there. All of our friends that we begged to be there, but it was still like, okay, maybe there's a future and maybe I can do this thing and maybe I'll, you know, instead of, I'm never going to be that football guy.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be any of that sports, but could this be something that I'm good at, that if I apply myself to, I could, have some value in the world,
Yeah.
because at 16, you're not thinking about a career that could be the thing that, like a actual business or something like that. Like
No.
you're thinking you're going to be a superstar or you're, a rock star or, a movie star, something that's like huge that you see that's popular and famous. And this was my route to maybe get that way, or at least, but that's all when you're a kid,
Yeah.
right?
My earlier, like during that high school time period, my only thought process would be like, okay, I'm going to go to Florida. It's a band. My high school band went to Florida
Yep.
my freshman year. That was kind of a big thing that kind of made me want to do it. And I actually went again my junior year.
Football's not getting there unless they're
No, football team never left,
nationals.
unless they got to state. And even if they got to state, they were still only going as far down as maybe Richmond,
Mhm.
Pulaski County, something like that. So here I am. I've been to Florida. Been to Canada. Um, performed different things in different places in front of crowds. All this was really cool. So, but I still, there was bigger things that I didn't realize until after I got out of high school, and it's just like these things get big. That's why I was asking. It's like,
Mhm.
like your first show, like mine. My first show was a band competition. Um, First show playing drums was, I think, a high school talent contest.
Right.
So, which is just your high school friends and stuff
Right.
like that, and people that go to the school, whatever. But it wasn't anything major, and I just was jamming with some guys, and we had
Mhm.
fun and we enjoyed it. But you, I think I started realizing that there's more to music than what I was doing,
Yeah.
and it's just seeing some of the other bands and the other kids and what they were doing, and guys that weren't in marching band at all, but were playing drums and playing better than me.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what is this?
Right.
So you're chasing this whole thing of like, okay. And I think that's earlier what instilled in me the whole value of like, there's always somebody better.
Yeah.
No matter what
There's
you do,
always
there's always somebody better.
Right.
And I always shy away from the comments and the things that people like to say. And I'm just like, you need to go see this person, this person, this person. And
and the thing that you got to learn is it's okay.
yeah. And that's
All you got to do is try to be better than you were and be honest with yourself when you're not doing that.
exactly.
And we all go through phases of when we're like kind of putting up with our plateaued version of ourselves.
Yeah.
And we need to be honest that we're doing that. And that's the only way it's going to get us to start. All right. That's why we're sitting here right now.
Pretty much.
That's why we're sitting here right now, because we have plateaued and we're trying not to plateau anymore.
Exactly.
Try and do the things that we said we're going to do and go with it, right? You can't, that's just my little rant right there.
Well, no, because I mean, the big thing about it is like, there's always something you can learn. There's always,
Yeah.
no matter what anybody does, there's something that they're doing different than you are. And it's just like, is it good? Maybe not always, but it's like, if you hear it and then you can kind of change it up to make it yours and then make it better, then okay, that's great. But there's always somebody doing something that you can learn from.
Right.
And I think that if, and people always say that, it's like the moment you think you're good, there's going to be somebody that comes along that's way better. And it's because you get to this point to where you're like, I don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you kind of do, because it's,
Hey, you got to do it forever.
things are always changing.
Right.
So,
and if someone surpasses you, that's okay too.
exactly.
You know, but as long as you're doing whatever you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Like, and if you're not, you know you're not. And then you're drinking too much, and then
pretty much. There's nothing wrong with that, though. We're not sitting here.
No, but
being
that's
hammered,
exactly the
but-
point. The point of sitting right here and actually doing this right now is that you said you wanted to do it. You bought the gear. We're sitting here, and we made the time to do it. And all it takes is doing it. And
Pretty
the only
much.
way we're going to get better is if we keep doing it.
Exactly.
You know, that's it.
All right. Funniest show moment.
Oh man,
You probably already know what mine's going to be.
I know what yours
know
is.
what
I definitely
most
know. I definitely
funniest
know what
embarrassing.
yours is going to be. I mean, I could get there these days. Man, I mean, I've forgotten the words several times. I've fallen several times. I don't know if there's like a specific time. There was that Matt had a student throw a bra on stage.
Was that while I was
That was
there,
before
or
you.
was
That was before
okay.
you. Yeah,
That was just the
that was
three-piece
not good.
days.
We're like, oh no, this is bad. What's happening? Why are there students here? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's like really embarrassing. No, I mean, I think I'm just having too much fun a lot of the times to like get that embarrassed. Like, usually it would just be like not remembering words or forgetting lines, but you get used to that because every night you play, you forget something.
Pretty much.
You know,
I think everybody kind of
no
goes
matter-
through that phase.
Yeah, and you just have to like, all right, well, I just screwed up then. You know, that's just part of the gig. I think kind of a lot of once I got over the stage fright sort of stuff. All right, let's put it this way. The most embarrassing time was the first 2 years of being on stage, trying to find like not being awkward and like, you know, you're trying to be cool. And there's all these people staring at you.
Yeah.
And you've never really had them staring at you as, you know, we were a 3-piece band at the time. So just being comfortable on stage and rocking out, you know. So that like long awkwardness would be the most embarrassing
Yeah.
part. Yours is a little bit different. I mean, there might be another. I haven't thought about that.
Are you
question.
thinking Casey's? Because that's what I would have to
yeah,
say is my
yeah.
most embarrassing was
Yeah.
Casey's.
Yeah. When we had to play random instrumental music for 9 minutes. I think it was about 9 minutes.
It was a
And
long
people were
one.
like, "What's going on? Where did he go?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. He had to.
Long story short, I had this thing where I didn't eat very much before playing, and we played a show down in Casey's, and I remember to the day I had a Snickers bar and a grape soda, and was fine the whole time. We play the show's going great, we're having a great time. We get down to like the last 2 songs, and my stomach is just like, we need to go.
Oh yeah, it was the end of the set too.
Yes. So we hadn't even played. We just finished the second, so we just had one more song to go.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, I can't. And finished the second to last song, and I took off.
So when was
Casey's-
the last time you had Snickers and grape soda?
I haven't had a grape soda in God knows how long. Snickers bar, I've had like the little mini ones, so they're not that big of a deal. But
But that was traumatizing.
that was because it was just embarrassing, because it's like you had the stage and the bathroom is at the other end of the hall, and it's
Yeah, like way over there.
yeah,
And there's like 30 people that are waiting for us to finish.
exactly.
song.
And I'm just like, there's nothing. I'm hearing you guys, like I'm in this bathroom and I'm hearing you guys just kind of trying to play
I
something,
feel like
and I'm like,
we jammed out for a while. There's just like, you know, at 3 minutes, people were like, What's going on?
Yeah.
Were we headlining that night too?
No, I think there was another band playing, and I don't remember who it was.
Okay.
There was somebody played after that because I think we were down there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Casey's wasn't like that band wasn't our normal spot. We were more.
Yeah.
I think when we first started, we were like TT Reynolds a lot, and we played in Fairfax a good amount, and then of course Mackey's, Manassas.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
biggest crowd.
Biggest crowd. I think that would have to be National Harbor, that show. But that's, I don't like that because everyone was sitting down. They were sitting down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider that like a best show. Maybe like 930 Club or something like that was probably the best ones. You know, there were a couple ones on that tour we did with I'd Set to Kill, but I don't know if they were that big. They were packed.
Yeah.
But like 930 Club, when you have, 1,000 people there, it's pretty awesome to do.
I think like 930 Club was really big for us, and State Theater with the Speaks.
Yeah.
Those were always good.
Yeah.
So,
but those weren't our crowd as much. Like when we sold our own tickets to play 930 Club, and there's like, all those people were there for us. Like that was a crowning achievement, I think, for a local kid.
That I would have said our CD release at Jack's.
Yeah, that too. Both.
That just even.
I mean, this is when you had to peddle your own CDs. You had to peddle your own, your own tickets. You had to go sell these tickets and actually hustle. Now, I don't know how many people actually wanted to be there, but I appreciate that they bought tickets. I appreciate you all for having done that. I don't know if it was my pressure, and then you're like, fine, I'll just give them $10. But they were there no matter what. Regardless of what the reason was, they were there, and it was awesome to have that experience where you're like, oh, this is what all the big guys do every night. This is what all the big bands do every night. Like to have that experience at least once in your life is awesome.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was cool. Like I think when we did our CD release, I think one of the best memories about that whole thing was just feeling like we were bigger than we were. Like they literally treated us from the moment we walked in, like even coming to me and like, all right, you're just going to leave your drums here. Nobody else is going to use the riser. And I'm looking like, why?
Yeah.
Like, for what? Like, no. Like, if they want to use it, they can use it. I don't care.
Right.
It was just, but it was still like really feeling like we were something bigger. And then
it's getting a taste of that was like, what could be possible sort of a thing.
And then you actually have it. And then to even have the owner, have Jay just be like, you guys are like one of the best shows that we've had for a local band. And it's just like, thank you.
Well, and that's a testament to, I think, the community that was formed around it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if it was that we were that good. Maybe, I think it was cool, but I think it's more the community that was formed around it, and that everyone had their own pockets of people that we engaged with, and they supported us. So it's like, great shows, but it was like really like a church sort of thing. Like we're really just like a community gathering. We can all celebrate together. And that's what I guess you don't really get on the road. You get people that like your music, but that community aspect, I'm not sure if I don't know. I've never had that.
I don't think it's that you don't get the community aspect.
It takes a long time, probably.
For me, like when we went on the road and we did that tour with I Set to Kill, the big thing that I took away from that was it was nice to hear people that don't know us, that don't know me, that have never met me, never seen me, never been around me, to say, dude, you're really awesome.
Right.
Your band's really awesome. You guys really rock. Because now you feel like, okay, this is somebody that's they have no reason to say this.
Right.
Like there's no like friendship. There's nothing. Right. They don't know me. So for them to say that, I thought, wow, okay, so we are better than we are.
Yeah, it's just, it's so difficult to, I think we're decent, but it's just so difficult to make money in that genre. And you have to kind of live at low means until you get, but we're getting to the point where families and stuff like that, it's just a different story. If when you're young, like Except for Tomorrow, they're awesome. They're young. They have a shot, but it's still very difficult in that genre to make money.
Yeah.
You got to be a salesperson. You have to, push your music. They're making funny videos now
Yeah.
to try to
I've been
get
seeing a lot
TikTok
of their
followers and
TikToks.
stuff. And they're funny,
Yeah.
but you have to do that in order to, I mean, we didn't have that avenue at
No.
all. It wasn't even an option. And we had to do different things. But you have to do all that stuff. And it's still, is that going to be enough to pay for a house? Is that going to be enough to raise a family?
No.
Probably not.
No. And
Maybe. I don't know in the TikTok generation. I don't know. But it's going to be easier if you can get into pop.
Yeah. Not to
know?
mention for us, you got to think back then, all we heard from, like, you know, the guys and I, Set to Kill, and Anissa and them, and The Word Alive, it was constantly, so what are you guys going to do? It's like, oh, well, we're going to go home, we're going to write this album, and then we're going to be back out on the road.
Yeah.
So
it's a lifestyle.
It's like, so we might be home for like 2-3 months out of a year. And I'm like, oh. And that's great for you that you're able to do that. It's just, we weren't.
Right.
I know me personally, I wasn't able to do that. There was no way that I could stay out on the road. And
I mean, like, I'm still considered very blessed to have been able to do what's been done. You know, I'd rather get to a place that, you know, maybe there's just play a few shows a year, and then if you do win a tour or you did something on TikTok that went viral and some reason that there's 100 people a night they want to, then you play a week tour. You know, whatever it is, like. But going on the road for that long, I'm 41 now, so I'm like, I don't. I mean, my knees hurt, my back, my back hurt. I'm gonna work out a lot, but you know,
you're sore.
I still want to be able to express myself through music and have that outlet. I don't think it's gonna be a money making venture. It'd be awesome if it could be, but I'm fine if it's not, because I'm making money other places, so I can just do this because it's a calling, because God told me to do it. You know what I mean? Whatever version of whatever I think that is now is a totally different conversation. But the only reason we're sitting here talking is because I had that moment.
Exactly. And I think it's even still, like, I still enjoy it. All those times I think were, regardless of what happened on that tour, and regardless of what happened after it, all that, it really doesn't matter, because we met some really cool people that, you know, we went a couple years ago, me and the wife went and saw The Word Alive at Jack's, and I kept telling her, I was like, hey, you know, we're going to go meet some guys that we were on tour with and everything. And she was like, oh, that'd be really cool. And even me, I'm like, yeah, it would be. And I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, you know, it's Tully and them. They're not going to give a crap. So, and I still remember driving around to the backside of Jack's, and Zach was actually riding a skateboard, and I yelled at him, and he turned around and he looked at me. He was like, Trent, what's going on? And I'm just like,
you remember me?
It's like, that's awesome. He remembers it. But just seeing them, and it was just such a cool vibe, and just feeling like this is really awesome. Like, you know, I made some really good friends, you know, doing this. And it was 3 months. Yeah, we had ups and downs. Yeah, nothing ever came out of it, but I still have.
But
these memories.
it did, because I think laying on my deathbed, at least I did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I took that leap to try to do it, and I have no regrets.
Exactly.
Do I wish things would have progressed? But like, we turned down a couple record deals because they were going to screw us. They're going to take what little money we could generate, and you know, it's not enough to live on. We were older at the time than the average. Like, if we were 19, I might have taken the deal.
Oh, we probably would have, because we're 19 and wouldn't.
Yeah, got nothing to lose. We're going to be a tour bus, and it's great. You know, you're going to put money into us, but it's just not where we were in our lives. But I'm thankful that I had those experiences, and I loved part of it, but I don't love part of it. You know, like,
I think the one thing that I always hated about it was when we were talking to these people and labels and everything, and they were just like, we just don't know where to put you. And I'm thinking to myself now, after hearing all the music that's coming out, it's like, really?
It was a different time.
You didn't know where to put us?
Dude, it's all about TikTok right now.
Yeah.
If you can make a following on TikTok, they will want to they want to sign you. But the thing is, you don't. You can be unsigned forever now because you
Hmm.
can create your own sales engine. It's a beautiful time as long as they don't ban TikTok, which they're talking about doing. But even Instagram Reels, just getting to an honest algorithm that you can just make enough content and whoever likes it, likes it. And if you can get 2 fans, then that's all you can get. If you can get 100,000, if you can get let the market do what it does. Like
Yeah.
let the market have the demand for whatever you're doing. And they were trying to sell people on what they thought the market was. Do you know what I mean?
Pretty much.
And now like with reels and like people will find what they want and you don't need a label. You would only need a label because you're not a good business person.
Pretty much.
And you don't know how to manage, oh, you're getting views now. You should start selling shirts. You should start selling VIP tickets, that sort of stuff. That's why the only reason you would need a label that I could think of.
Yeah. Distribution, maybe.
Or maybe someone that's going to help you film all that content.
That's about it. But it just
You
seems
know?
now it's so easy and so many people are just doing it on their own that,
Yeah.
I don't
You could
need
be
a label.
There's this one kid. I don't know if he has a label. I can't remember his name, Brandon James or something like that. But I've been seeing his stuff, and it's interesting pop music that he's got some creative lyrics too. But he's just being consistent. For one song, he'll do the chorus on 50 different videos,
Yeah.
in different places, and just puts it out, and he's growing and growing and growing. But that's not because there's money behind him. That's because he's doing it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty, the possibility. So like, that's why I get mad at myself. Like, just put songs out, just put them out.
Yeah, because
like,
I think we never really know. Like I said, there's things that are so popular now that are big, that are selling, that if you would have asked or thought about, 2 years, 3 years ago, people would have been like, nah.
But I think they're part
now
of
it
it is
is.
because those people consistency. They are so consistent. They're
Yeah.
in the people's faces all the time, so it's showing up in their algorithms, and that's how you're finding out about them. It's not because of a label. It's not because someone's putting them on the radio. It's because they are being consistent every day, posting something.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
since we're into the whole music thing, first thing I'm going to say is I got to go back. When I asked you about your biggest show, I always ask people, people talk to me and they're like, when you want to play on this stage, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I've had bigger shows doing non-band related stuff. It's been like the drum corps stuff that I did. I marched in a drum and bugle
that's
corps.
hard to beat, people wise.
Yeah. I mean, that is Buffalo Stadium, 20,000 or, you're literally looking up and looking at a wall and there's a wall of people.
Right.
So that was my biggest shows. But I've been thinking a lot about like why and where I go creatively. So I've been kind of curious as to when you're creating something, what is your thought process when you go to create music? Like when you're
well, it's changed as I get older. I never really had I always was just start playing chords. Just like playing something that I liked the sound of the shapes of the chords that I was creating on the guitar. That's I think why it was so cool. Like I don't know what I believe in God or whatnot, but I don't know if I would have ever become like a songwriter if I didn't have a guitar, right? Because that kind of I can start playing these chords and then I can just start making up my own melodies and doing whatever I want and being creative with those. And it kind of would start to pull something out of me creative, just by playing different things.
Yeah.
Now being a little older, I have dreams of songs, like I told you the other week or a couple months ago. I have melodies that I wake up to, and because I understand the music and I know what the underlying, chord progressions could be, I already know a melody that could work and I know how I can fit that into something. So now I honestly think I'm at a place where I just need to just create more often. It's there. It's sitting right in front of me. I just need to do it and make time for it and no excuses, stay up late, do it.
I think that's like I learned a lot going through like marching band and drum corps. It taught me how to take listen to a song and listen to music and figure out what you need to play. Because some of that, like some of the stuff we would do, the big thing in the section that I was in what they called the pit or with front ensemble, whatever. And sometimes what we would do is,
What if they called the pit the front ensemble
well, it
when
was, it's
people
like,
are mosh pitting?
well, no, I mean, it was, well, now they consider it the front ensemble
Right.
because we were the keyboards and percussion stuff that's sitting down in the front,
Right.
and we don't move and we're not really on the
That
field.
joke didn't land. That joke didn't land. Come on.
There should be a mosh pit around it because it'd be kind of fun.
Just the name of the mosh pit being called
yeah.
front ensemble.
But the cool thing about it was, like, you know, they really taught me how to, like I said, listen to something, like to listen to the chord progression and listen to what people are playing, and then write my part or play something over top of it, which they would call comping or whatever. So, or comping. And that was really cool. And then I was able to, like, it was one of many things that because of drum corps, I was able to include into what we were doing musically, to where it's just like I would hear something Branch is playing and I would just figure out this weird pattern that
Right.
still fit it, had a groove, felt good, but wasn't, you know, stupid complications or anything like that, or just kind of weird technical.
But it wasn't also like exactly what, like, I think that's what made you more unique than the other drummers that we tried out, which was, I mean, like maybe 10 or so before you, something like that. They would just play exactly what was expected. And that's not really the flair of what we were going for, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what made you more unique. And also you could play to a metronome, which not a lot of them could.
Well, you know, but that's the thing. It's like I had seen a lot of what Branch did, and it's like I still like it was more listening to what he was playing on certain songs and realizing, okay, there's certain elements of what he's playing that needs to be there.
Yeah.
And then there's certain elements that are just free game to kind of flare and try to add a spark to it. And that's what I tried to do. And it's just, I've always kind of looked at even the cover band stuff that I did. It's the same way. It's just like, I'm not going to play exactly what's written because I don't, people want to listen to a record, that's fine.
Right.
But when you come to the show, there's more to it. There's more than just playing the music.
Well, I mean, even you hear like, you know, like on SNL, if there's a hip hop group on there, they have a live drummer, and it's a lot more intense, and it's a lot more fun too. You know, it's way better that way.
You definitely see that, and it transfers. It's like even when you see these bands live, and you see some of these artists live. Like I saw Nas, and it was interesting seeing Nas with a drummer, instead of just listening to what I've heard.
Well, I mean, hip hop like that, they used drum machines because they didn't have drummers to pay to come play a lot of the times, right? I imagine, right?
No.
Or you know, so you're doing what you can to make a song, and then when you can afford to hire the drummer to come play on tour with you, you'll do it, right? Because it's gonna make it better.
Well, actually, I think I want to say almost like LL Cool J and him doing the live band on MTV. I think it was Unplugged. I think that kind of was the spark of people wanting to have full bands.
Yeah.
Because it was just...
It's a different experience live.
Yeah.
It can be... It changes the song on a record.
Yeah.
For sure. It doesn't have the same type of groove, but when everyone's, you know, jumping around, having a good time, it definitely adds to...
It's way more energetic than...
than just a DJ standing in the background.
Pretty much. Unless the DJ is, like, phenomenal, which I've seen a couple DJs that started going into, like, the whole New York scratch thing, and it was just like, okay, this is legit. Yeah. It's still cool, but having that full band behind you does kind of boost everything up and makes it feel better. So it's really cool. Yeah. So where are we at?
I think we're about an hour.
Jesus.
Our wives are going to be drunk.
I don't even want to
cutting that part out. I'm cutting that part out.
It's like, cut.
Well, congratulations on your first Boozy Beats Bang. That's to many more. I think now that we know that we can do it, and it's not that difficult, hopefully everything's been recording the whole time.
Yeah, the only thing I don't know, I know that that's still going.
That's still going, so as long as the video's going.
That's the only thing I'm assuming that it's still... oh, yeah, it's still going.
All right, sweet.
So
there you go.
We're still good. So
we
actually did this. And
I think this is a great first episode, at least for you and me. At
I
least
think
we,
it
we
is.
know
I
something
know
more
I-
about each other.
Pretty much. And like
There's
I
at least a couple things to cut up that are funny. So
I think so. And like I
Yeah.
said, I think it's just I think people should, and that's my big thing about all of this is like take the time to like sit down and talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Like even if it's not, like some huge long conversation or whatever, but just sit down and, maybe stop it'll help kind of make things a little bit better. Cause I think like now everybody's
Yeah.
in this whole cancel culture bullshit that I can't stand
yeah,
that people are afraid to.
and everyone's against each other politically, as they always are.
Politically and mental health, man. Like I said, I hate to end this on a down note. I'm not going to end this on a down note because the dude was freaking awesome, and I think he was one of the nicest guys that I ever met. But losing a friend to this whole to suicide is what's really kind of pushed me to like, dude, these conversations need to be had.
Yeah,
And this is what the problem is people are afraid to say things to other people because at some point they're worried that it's going to be used against them. And I think too many people do that. They confide in somebody, and then the next thing you know, what they've confided in them ends up being said to millions and others of people. And next thing you know, you have this person coming and talking to you, and it's like, this is what's causing people to not want to talk. And then you have friends like my friend Donnie who, didn't talk, and now he's gone. And I'm quite sure that there's people out there that have felt that. And if you make it if you make it easier to sit here and have a conversation with a friend and just know that you're having a safe conversation, that it's
right.
not going to be used against you, then I think you'll make things a lot better.
Yeah,
You know?
it can't hurt.
No, it
It's
can't
not gonna hurt.
So if you don't, then
The only thing that's gonna hurt is if I make a shitty joke. That's the only thing that's gonna hurt my feelings. If I
you
make
would
a
say
joke.
shitty because I might go have me a Snickers bar now.
There you go. And some grape soda.
Now the Midori might help, so
All right,
we'll
there you
see.
go. All right, well, signing off.
We're out of here.
Boozy Beats Mang,
Boozy Beats.
episode 1 in
Uno.
the books.
So we'll see you guys. Peace.